So, in our current industry, we've had this perfect storm where we have high staff turnover, increased resident frailty coming into our buildings, and on top of that, increasing staff wages and all of that. So it became very, very important to truly understand where care is being consumed, by whom, and how much.
Welcome to Season 8 of Bridge the Gap, a podcast dedicated to informing, educating, and influencing the future of housing and services for seniors. The BTG network is powered by sponsors Align, NICMAP, ProCare HR, Sage, Hamilton Captel, ServiceMaster, The Bridge Group Construction, and Solinity, and produced by Solinity Marketing.
Bridge the Gap in 3, 2. Welcome to Bridge the Gap Podcast, the senior living podcast. We are here, Spring Nick, in a beautiful location here in San Diego. We got a wonderful guest on today. I want to welcome Satish Movva. He is the CarePredict CEO and founder.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Lucas and Josh, for having me here.
Yes, we've been really excited to sit down with you. You have an incredible background. You have created an incredible company that offers real solutions to our industry that are so important. And for our listeners, this is actually a very exciting episode because you have created something with CarePredict called CarePoint that has never been created before. And we're going to walk through some of the details around this new launch. Bring us up to date. Talk to us about your reasons behind launching CarePoint and how it's going to change everything around caregiving.
So in our current industry, we've had this perfect storm where we have high staff turnover, increased resident frailty coming into our buildings, and on top of that, increasing staff wages and all of that. So it became very, very important to truly understand where care is being consumed, by whom, and how much. And we've never had that ability. And if you think back for the last 2-3 decades, the way the industry has tried to solve the problem is to do time motion analysis and say, okay, a bath takes 30 minutes, or escorting somebody from their room to the dining room takes 12 minutes, whatever it is. And we've come up with these very gross average minutes of how much a care task is supposed to consume. But the problem with that is it's not really personalized to the frailty of the individual, the efficiency of the staff member, and all of that. So we've always had, this issue of, really not matching the care plan minutes to the real world minutes of care consumed. And so if you look at any care plan in any building today, it's going to have pretty standard templates. Bathing takes 32 minutes, showering takes 12 minutes, whatever it is. And they're basing their levels of care and the staffing model on those minutes. But the issue becomes, because of the changing frailty of an individual, which ebbs and flows, I could take 20 minutes to be bathed today, and somebody could take 30 minutes to be bathed tomorrow. It doesn't really take that into account. And because the staffing is based on care plan minutes, we're completely blind to how much we're actually putting the staff through in how much work they have to do. So this, this discordance between the two is really become, one factor of the net operating income leakage. So with CarePoint, we are tracking every minute of care consumed, no matter where a person is in the building. Whether they're in their bedroom, a bathroom, a living room, common area, in the corridor. And the way we are doing that is, our company is predicated and based on everybody wearing wearables, right? The resident has a wearable, the staff member has a wearable, and we have ultra precise real-time location tracking. And we have 22 issued patents in the company. So this is real technology. So it allows us to track proximity of each caregiver to each resident, no matter where they are in the building. And so now we can look and see how much time is each person actually consuming of direct care. So if you see Joe walk into my apartment and Joe and I walk into my bathroom and then our device detects a bathing event, we know that Joe bathed Satish and it took 22 minutes. So that goes towards my care task, my care plan. And it automatically fills out that actual number of minutes in the EHR or whatever else. So that's care tasks and scheduled tasks, and you're getting ultra precise, personalized time of how much time I'm taking. And then the other aspect that really has been a blind spot in this industry is the on-demand events. Everybody knows care plans, what I'm supposed to get on a periodic basis, three bathing events a week or what have you. But then what about as I am more frail and I'm constantly summoning assistance? I'm pushing a button, summoning assistance or a pull cord. And we have always been blind to that and never really tracked that, not in our staffing models and not really in our level of care. So with our system, that's being tracked as well. So if I were to summon assistance, the system is tracking how long it takes for somebody to respond to me. And once they are in my presence, how long are they spending with me and exactly what tasks are being done. So where CarePoint helps in all that is, especially with the staff turnover in this industry, it's very hard to train people because they leave and then you're back to training a whole new set and it's never the same as the first time. So with our system, the minute somebody walks into my apartment, a caregiver, their CarePredict app automatically pings and says, hey, you just walked into Satish's room. Here are the 5 scheduled tasks he's due to be done. And here are the 3 or 4 tasks from earlier shifts that were deferred. And so you get a real quick reminder of everything that needs to be done.
That's huge. Just that right there. We need to be reminded, and caregivers are pulled in so many different directions. This is really, really kind of a groundbreaking.
Right. And especially as a new caregivers entering the market, they're not the shift workers of 20 years. These are more the gig economy workers that are coming in for surge staffing, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. And they may only work 3 times a month. And you cannot afford to train them at the same level. So you need systems that drive all of that work. So you could get a brand new aide into your building and they are using CarePredict. The minute they walk into my apartment, they know what needs to be done. The minute they step out, the app forces them to document exactly what they did for me. And it says, you're in Satish's suite for 28 minutes. What did you do? And it's just quick taps. I bathed him 12 minutes. I changed the bed sheets or whatever, 6 minutes, boom, 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 done. And by the way, while I was in Satish's room, he asked me to do his laundry. Now, that's incidental care, right? That wasn't in the care plan, but it's something I asked to be done. That also gets documented. So now you have scheduled care, which is the planned care. You have on-demand events, which are unplanned care. And you have the incidental or PRN care all together in one, no matter where they are in the building. And that's huge. That's unique. There are some systems out there that try to do this when you're in your bedroom of your suite and they're using cameras, radars, and whatnot. But those don't scale beyond that one room. So what happens to all the care that's being provided throughout the building?
Aren't there some liabilities with cameras? This is a camera-free
Correct.
process, right?
Yeah, so that's something that, I created this company to take care of my own parents, right? My mom was 87, my dad's 97. My mom hated the idea of cameras. So right from inception, I was never allowed to even think cameras. So we really came at it from a very privacy-centric view of, what is the least intrusive way to collect all this data? And what we came up with was a wearable. Sits on the dominant arm, and we have a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence in this. And we've been doing that since 2013. So this is not anything new for us. And so it actually knows when you're eating down to the fork being lifted to the mouth. It knows when you're brushing teeth. It knows when you're washing your hands and all of this kind of stuff. And so because it's a wearable, it can work anywhere in the building. There's no issue of privacy around cameras and stuff like that. Cameras is still a red line for a majority of people. Maybe you can get away with putting it in the bedroom, but no way is it going to be in more intimate spaces of a suite. Nobody's going to allow it in a bathroom, no matter how much you say it's obfuscated.
Sure, which is where a lot of care takes place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the implications are vast. The changes in a positive way for our industry, for the consumers of our industry services, for quality of care. We've heard personalized care and individualized care for years, but this is actually revolutionizing the way that we actually can deliver on that promise. I'm also, thinking, so for an operator, an owner, an operator, or management company right now, obviously, driving NOI while providing high quality care is a goal but you touched on so many of the different aspects of how difficult that is when you have inefficient staffing, which is already a challenge in and of itself. So this is helping that. It's helping your NOI, helping quality. I'm wondering, with all the data points that you're collecting in real time, do you think you're going to be able to help the industry navigate the future as well? Because, you know, just as our industry has traditionally done these time studies, right, and applied averages, you're more able to see what's happening in the industry in real time with the aging population based on acuity sectors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point. Just in terms of data collection, since 2015, when we launched our product into senior living, we have today the largest database of senior activity and behaviors anywhere in the world. We have the largest real world fall database anywhere in the world. Data is huge in all of this, but data by itself is not enough. You need to draw insights from it. So, and that's what we are trying to build on top of this, the integrations we are doing with folks like Alice and others, so the data can actually become an insight that the operator can look at and understand. So for us, while data is the lifeblood of the company, it's how it's utilized, and the insight that comes out of it is much more important.
Yeah, well, and I'm seeing an opportunity to insert my favorite phrase, which is bridging the gap, right? Because we're here at NIC, and you're hearing the operators and the owners meet up with the capital markets. Everybody's talking about the challenges of providing high quality care at the most affordable way for our industry. You've got investors talking with operators and saying, how are you operating differently? How are you operating more efficiently? So here comes CarePoint, announced at NIC. We're awesome partners of NIC, and so happy to have you on the show to talk about this. But it seems like this is an amazing tool to be able to engage with operators. So when they're having those discussions with their capital providers of how are we maintaining quality while driving down cost, here emerges CarePredict's new CarePoint, and you're right at the start of the show here.
Absolutely, and we're really happy because the timing worked out really well. This is something we've been working on for almost 8 months. We had the data, but we had to get into a form where it's usable to the operator instantly. And I think to your point, you know, our industry is kind of at a fork in the road too. You have the one direction trying to go back into hospitality a little bit, and you have the other one that's being pulled more towards the healthcare side of the equation. But underlying both is the REITs. And as far as the REITs care, it's net operating income. So now that you can, you know, right size the care plan to the actual care consumed, that's going to help drive the profitability of the industry to be more sustainable. But it's also going to help with a lot of the challenges that are coming up around caregivers. We don't have enough caregivers entering our industry, and that's an issue. But the kind of caregivers that are going to enter this industry in the future are not the shift workers of the past. They're going to be the gig workers of the future. And in that model, you really need to understand what part of the day is your highest demand for on-demand services and things like that. And looking at our data, we can at one glance tell you, you know, Monday between 2 to 3, you have a major hole because demand is outstripping supply. And we can see that by the delay between when somebody summons assistance to when somebody actually shows up. So now we can say you need a surge staffing there and not to uplift the whole shift. So how that's going to help the operators and the REITs underlying them is basically do predictive staffing models of exactly how much staff you need during what times of the day and which days of the week. Sure. And that's insights we've never had. And that's going to help drive the profitability of this industry tremendously. But on the flip side, because of the data we are capturing, it's going to be the foundational data that's going to drive value-based care. I know tomorrow we have a whole bunch of sessions on value-based care and whatnot, but to operate in value-based care without data is to be, you know, in a dark room trying to find a black cat. It's just not possible. Yes. And so that's the light we are shedding. How much frailty is each individual at? And how do you predict that this person is going to have a UTI in 3.9 days? I mean, we've been doing predictive analytics for 8 years now. we can predict a UTI in 3.9 days, or a risk of a nutrition or a fall in 24 hours. We're preventing stuff. Those are going to be hugely important to value-based care. And why that is so interesting for our industry is, no matter what our operators do to keep a resident safe, right? Yes, we get some benefit out of it. We have increased occupancy and we're taking good care of the resident. But the primary beneficiary has always been the healthcare insurer. And they never had to pay a dime for everything we do. And they are the beneficiaries because we are preventing hospitalization. Who makes out like a bandit? It's the healthcare payer. And so it's time for them to step into this world and actually start putting their share into it. And with value-based care, they can get there. So if you're preventing hospitalizations, then somebody's going to be, giving you shared savings or whatever to get into. And that's going to help subsidize technologies like CarePredict for our industry, which is for the benefit of all.
So with CarePoint's data, how long will it take before you have information that informs our industry on certain benchmarks? What would that look like?
So we think that's a quarter away.
Wow, that fast, huh?
Yeah, that fast. Only because we have already a widespread adoption of CarePredict throughout the industry here. We've always been doing peer-level benchmarking. So for our operators, for example, we'll pick a building, and when we do the quarterly report for them, we'll compare it to anonymize 4 other buildings that are about the same size, and we're showing them what the response time there is, what the frailty level and the frailty index is. Now we can do it at a much larger scope, and we can add these additional data elements. So since we've always had this data engine, it's very quick to ramp up.
Sure.
And we'd love to get some of this data into the NIC data analysis side of things, so they can start understanding where are we making these residents' lives better, because this is important for the policy side. When we go up to DC and say senior living is the way, well, where's the data behind it? This is the data that can make that case for people. So we expect in the next quarter, we'll have enough data through CarePoint that we can actually start driving metrics on what is the average amount of time something takes, and what's the level of frailty, how does it ebb and flow within a building? Because we are not static creatures, right? I mean, we especially as an older aging resident, we have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. One week I might be very frail and I might have a good week the following week. We are going to track all of that through here. So this data is going to be really, really interesting.
It's very interesting. It's very important. Lucas, you and I are lucky. We got a front row seat here at Nick at CarePoint rolling out.
Smart guy, this Satish. Listen to all this stuff. I mean, I'm just blown away by how thoughtful that you've been in really approaching some of the biggest problems in our industry and then providing a solution for it. I know this is just launching, but have you had any conversations either with your existing client base or any conversations here at Nick, and what has been the response to this?
So definitely with our existing base. So one of the ways that CarePoint can truly work effectively is if there's a very deep integration with the care plan. So which means we need an integration with the electronic health records. Alice by Medtelligent, which is the first launch partner for us for CarePoint, where complete care plans come over. Our system automatically fills out how much time it took for each task, pushes it back, and who the staff member was. We are working on the same trajectory with all the top EHRs in the market, but they are a few months behind. So as and when each one of those comes online, we're going to have saturation coverage where we can get that absolute system of record data into our care plans, into our CarePoint, which allows every staff member walking into a suite to know exactly what they're supposed to do, when, and how much time they took. And that's going to change this industry, I guarantee you.
Awesome. Awesome news and information. Thanks for all you do for the industry. You've been at this a long time and you continue to evolve and just tackle some really, really major challenges. So congratulations on all your success in that.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a long road, but for a long time, you're alone on the mountaintop shouting into the wilderness, but the industry has caught up to where we are, and this data is making a huge difference. So we're really, really happy that, that we are where we are today.
Well, we're honored to have you on the program and also appreciate your personal story. Bridge the Gap is really a platform to bring this type of thought leadership and content, but we also love getting the personal stories. And there's so many people in the industry that have that family story where, you know, this idea was born out of a need to care for somebody I love. And those connection points and that thread, that common thread, is really what makes this industry so great. So thank you, Satish, for your story and your company and your hard work. And we're really looking forward to seeing this. And we'd love to have you back on to get that benchmark. We want to follow up and make sure we're sharing this information. So we appreciate it. To our listeners that want to connect with Satish and also their platform, you can scroll down into the show notes there, hit that link on your podcast player. Also, that you can connect with them at their website as well as LinkedIn, and go to BTG Voice for all content and connect with us there. Thanks for listening to another great episode of Bridge the Gap.
Thanks for listening to Bridge the Gap podcast with Josh and Lucas. Connect with the BTG Network team and use your voice to influence the industry by connecting with us at btgvoice.com.